soup. Even whether it's hot outside or cold outside, I love soup. It's a beautiful fall day today, and I'm gonna make some chili. So I thought I would go ahead and just make it live, and we'll see how this turns out. I want to see how long it takes for one thing, because I have ordered an Instapot, and I wanna try it when I get my Instapot and see what the time difference is. So I will post the link to the recipe below. The name of this chili, if you want to search for it online, is called Killer Vegan Chili. And I make it all the time. It freezes really great, and it makes a large batch. Sometimes I even make a double batch, and then there's tons to freeze. If you want to use it for a meal like at Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's really good for that too. This does happen to be vegan, and it uses actually walnuts in place of the ground beef, so it gives you that kind of crunch of ground beef. But you could certainly substitute ground beef if that's your thing. So let's get started. I do have a little olive oil already hot in the pan, and we're going to start out with just 2 cups of onions, which I have chopped. If you wanted to make this without oil, which I sometimes do, you can just put a little bit of water in the pot too. It doesn't have to be olive oil. Okay, so while that is starting to simmer, I'm going to add the spices. There are a whole bunch of spices, but really making this is pretty easy. You only have to chop the onions and the peppers. Everything else is out of a can, so that's easy. So first we have 2½ tablespoons of chili powder. I like to buy my spices in bulk at a health food store. So I have mine in mason jars. 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. Teaspoon and a half of garlic powder. I've been using garlic powder lately instead of salt, and onion powder too. It's really good. We need basil. 2 teaspoons of basil. Chipotle powder. I found these teaspoons probably at Bed Bath & Beyond that are like skinny and tall, so they'll reach into these spice jars. It's pretty nice. 1/4 teaspoon. Two tablespoons of cumin. 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. It calls for no salt herb seasoning. I'm skipping that. I don't have it. And some beer. I will be using the whole can of beer, but for right now, it just calls for a little bit to deglaze that. It smells so good. It smells so good. Okay, so there are several different steps that the recipe says to take. But at this point, once I saute the onion, I just pretty much dump everything in and put the lid on and leave it. So the instructions might be slightly different if you do it, follow the instructions, but I don't understand why you should have to wait. So These onions are, can you see? They're like completely coated with all those spices. Can't really see. And I think it's ready. So I'm just going to start adding stuff. And next is some peppers. These are from our garden, but I also have some frozen from last year. So I'm going to add a few more because at the end of the season we had romaine peppers left. So those are from last year that were in the freezer. And then it calls for actually 3 cans of tomatoes, and I usually would just use canned tomatoes, but again, we have some left from the garden. These are the very last ones, so I went ahead and just used fresh ones for this, but normally I just throw in the cans. So far we have onions, tomatoes and peppers, and a whole bunch of spices. Okay, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And this is the real stuff. Definitely not pancake syrup or corn syrup, but real maple syrup. And 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, or tamari, either one. Or you could use liquid aminos. One teaspoon of salt. Half a teaspoon of liquid smoke. It seems like a lot of ingredients, but oh, I'm telling you, it's so worth it. It's so good. I don't understand liquid smoke. What the heck is this, and how do they get it? Because it smells like a campfire in here now, and that was just a half a teaspoon. Whatever it is, it really works, and it's good. Okay, so it's calling for 4 cups of water now, and I really prefer to use vegetable broth. So anytime that I'm cooking and chopping, I save the ends. I wash it real good and then save the ends, especially onions, carrots, and celery. Those make really good broth ingredients, and I just put them in a baggie like this. Last night we had asparagus, so I've got asparagus spears in here, and some of the onions from today. That was dripping all over the floor. So I would save them in baggies and put them in the freezer, and then put it in a big pot, actually this pot, and fill it up with water. And just cook it for half an hour or 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever you've got time for. Just put it on the stovetop and strain it, and then you've got vegetable broth to use for stuff. And or you could use a can of vegetable broth, of course, or beef or chicken broth, whatever you like. But that's what I always do. And then I always have some in the freezer if I need to just thaw some real quick to make rice. I use it to make rice or quinoa or whatever I would normally use water for, just to give a little bit more nutrients and a little bit more flavor. So instead of just water, I am adding my vegetable broth. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to use a whole lemon. Probably half is actually a little closer. Alexa, stop the timer. My husband is making pumpkin pie. So he has pumpkins in the oven. I guess I should check those. Looks like, I can't see because my glasses fog, but it looks like his pumpkins are done. He also made bread this morning and an apple pie, so he's been busy today. Okay, so we have lemon juice in, and then we need 1/3 cup of quinoa. I also get this at the health food store in bulk. And I got the mixed color kind. I don't know if it makes a difference. And I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Open that up a little bit. And then 2 cans of black beans, which I have straining. And those are just cans. I'm going to try with my Instapot too. I'm hoping to be able to make beans in the Instapot too. Okay, we're almost done already. Here's the magic, I think. If you don't like nuts, I do have a girlfriend that loves this chili, but she doesn't like the nuts in it, so she leaves these out. This is just 1.5 cups of chopped walnuts. So I'm just dumping those in. And corn. 2 cups of corn. You could use canned corn for sure. I just had some in the freezer. That was fresh, actually, from last year. But canned corn would be just as good. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Okay, so gosh, I wish you could see in here. This looks so good. It's super thick. Can you see at all how delicious that looks? So that's it. I'm going to leave it on medium heat for a couple hours or whenever. Hi, Evan. How fun to see you here. It won't take too long, maybe an hour. I don't know. I'm going to go outside and we'll have it for dinner. So let me know in the comments below if you're interested in this, and I will be sure to post the recipe for you. Have a good day.